The Everfree Forest!
Wait. Are we really doing a whole video on the Everfree Forest? But that can't be safe, right? The Everfree Forest is like a really dangerous place. Or is it? I have reason to believe that the Everfree Forest isn't all that it's cracked up to be, if you go by what the locals say at least. But because I am all the way up north in Rainbow Falls, nowhere near Ponyville, I've had to call in for some extra help. For the sake of journalism and uncovering the truth, my younger self has bravely volunteered to be an on-the-ground reporter for this video, so let's cut to him now.
Alright Everypony, I am here at the edge of the Everfree Forest, and as you can see, I just came from Ponyville. I was doing some asking around before starting this adventure, and all I can say is, the ponies here seem horribly afraid of these woods. But interestingly enough, when I asked them why, nothing any pony told me seemed weird in the slightest. Not for a forest at least. Yet every pony seems like they were about to faint whenever I asked about it. Something weird is going on here and I'm going to figure out why. I'll let you know when I have an update.
Now, what younger Lumin just said actually aligns with what I found myself, as Rainbow Dash, AJ, and Fluttershy describe.
The Everfree Forest just ain't natural. The plants grow, animals care for themselves, and the clouds move all on their own.
And yeah, I agree. None of those seem unusual in the slightest for a large forest like the Everfree, so there has to be more to it, right? I think for this investigation, it's best for us to start right at the beginning and take a closer look at what or who exactly we can find in there. For starters, as we all know, there's Zecora, every pony's favorite and, well, only rhyming zebra. And I was originally planning to do this whole section in Rhyme 2, but then fortunately my common sense kicked through. Wait, crap. Oh well, I guess we're committing to the bit. All of Ponyville was originally afraid of Zecora, just because she lived around some unusual fauna. But then our Twilight first learned of this, and all she wanted to do was dismiss. Once they all ventured into the Everfree, however, her doubts were soon put to rest. Whatever. Alright, enough of that. 3 full sentences in rhyme is already 2 more than I ever thought I could do. Anyways, like I was trying to say, we know Zecora lives in the Everfree, together with some interesting plants, like the poison choke, which we see in Season 1. Granny Smith also mentions that the original Zap Apples came from the Everfree Forest, and Zecora seems to use herbs from the forest to create medicine unknown to most of ponykind. And now that I say that out loud, would that qualify Zecora as being one of those middle-aged essential oil crazy ladies? Or would she not count for that category because, well, her remedies seem to actually work? Anyways, besides Zecora and some weird plants the ponies don't understand, I think we're now coming to the main reason why every pony seems to be so afraid of the Everfree, the creatures living there. With residents like the Manticore, Cockatrice, and Timberwolves, it's honestly completely understandable that it would cause ponies to be wary of entering the forest. So, that's it then? End of the video? Well, as you can see from the progress bar, we are nowhere near being done. And before we continue talking about all the dangerous creatures in the Everfree, let's quickly check in to see how it's going in the actual forest.
Calling them dangerous creatures is an understatement, alright? Some Timberwolves started chasing me right as I passed Zecora's place, and oh, cold those things can run. I barely managed to escape with my wings intact when flying away from them, and by no means am I a slow flyer, if I do say so myself. Anyways, now that I'm a little deeper into the forest, I'm sort of starting to understand why the ponies just find the overall vibe really creepy. Not nearly as much as all of them claim, but still. For example, with how many trees there are, it's really difficult to see further ahead, so you have no idea what's coming. That combined with this ominous vibe that's just present ever since I escaped the Timberwolves, I really can't put my hoof on it. Regardless, dense trees and weird vibes are not nearly enough to ruin my spirit. I'll keep you all posted.
Thank you, me, I guess. Anyways, while the dangerous creatures living there is definitely a valid explanation to be scared of the forest, if we look back at those original reasons Flutters, AJ, and Dash gave, none of them mentioned anything about those animals, just how everything takes care of itself, which, like I said before, shouldn't be anything to fear. So then I think the question becomes, how did every pony become so scared of a seemingly normal forest? Just the dense trees and weird vibes alone can't be enough, right? My personal theory is that ages ago, ponies weren't actually that afraid of the Everfree. Sure, it was untamed, potentially dangerous at times, and different from all the other forests in Equestria, but nothing that particularly worried the ponies of that time. Then again, I also assume the ponies living hundreds or thousands of years ago were also a lot more tough than the ones we see today. Anyways, I believe that at some point something really horrible happened in the forest, something that shocked every creature around. From there, rumors would start to spread. Very normal phenomena in the forest are mistaken or purposefully twisted as being unusual or evil. Over time, those rumors have the potential to evolve into anything you could imagine. Small gnomes out for blood? Sure. A pond you can use to duplicate yourself? Why not? A random house filled with a bunch of stallions? Hell yeah! And to the normal ponies of Equestria, each one of those could be as likely as the last. And on top of that, like I just described and we see in the show, perfectly normal occurrences that are portrayed as just being creepy and frightening. But then, what would this horrible incident be that started all these rumors? I reckon it could be the banishing of Luna, because remember, Celestia and Luna used to live in the castle of the two sisters at the heart of the Everfree Forest, but we'll get back to that in a second. I assume the ponies of that time knew that Tia and Luna lived there, which might have also aided them in not finding the forest as scary. But then one day, a bunch of flashes, magic and fighting could be seen coming from the forest, followed by Luna disappearing altogether and Celestia moving to Canterlot not too soon after. To any pony who had no idea what was going on at the time, I can completely understand they'd start to speculate, eventually forming rumors and spreading these suspicious stories about the Everfree. And boom, we've come full circle. Then, about—
Hey, Everypony, I'm quickly inserting myself into the story again, because there are some interesting developments. At some point since you last saw me, I kinda lost track of the path. That weird vibe has only gotten stronger, and when I found a random small clearing in the forest earlier, I could have sworn I saw the tower of a castle in the distance. I think it might be the castle of the two sisters that was just mentioned. So obviously I've been heading in that direction ever since. And now that I think I've gotten a little bit closer, I've just stumbled upon this. It looks to be a statue of some kind, so let's check it out. I think it's a rearing pony? That's giving me kind of royal vibes, to be honest. Oh, I guess that means we must be getting close. And, oh wait, is that a sign on the front? Oh, ha, really? Looks like younger Celestia was a bit of a practical joker. What a waste of time. Y'all saw that too, right? Oh, alright, yeah, I admit, this is starting to get a little uncomfortable now. I'm getting my flank out of here right now. If I get to the castle, I'm sure I'll be safe there.
Oh wow, it seems like he might actually be able to find the castle. That would be awesome. And speaking of the castle of the two sisters, and specifically Celestia, regardless of what theories we might have about why the ponies fear the Everfree so much, we know for sure that Celestia lived in there for a pretty long time. We also know that Celestia visits Ponyville every now and then, like we see at the end of the Season 1 episode, The Swarm of the Century, or during the comics where she goes into town undercover. So over the years, she would have to have learned about every pony's fear of the forest, right? So did she just decide not to interfere on purpose and leave the ponies of Ponyville to fear the forest? You might argue that she did indeed think it was too dangerous to be in the forest with all of these dangerous animals, so she let the rumors be as long as it kept the ponies out of the forest. But then why would she send Twilight and her friends into the Everfree Forest on multiple occasions throughout the show, even as early as the very first episode? Though, given that one was done indirectly. Regardless, Celestia's involvement, just like most things we've covered in this video so far, just don't make any sense. So before we come to a final conclusion, let's take a look at some of your theories about all of this. A couple weeks ago I made this post on my community tab, asking every pony about their theories and headcanons as to why all of Ponyville is so afraid of the forest. And you all left a bunch of comments with really interesting theories, so let's take a look. First, we have this comment by MelinaCat5958, who believes the Timberwolves are the only thing in the forest that seemingly every single pony is afraid of. After all, on multiple occasions during the show, we hear the ponies talk about getting rid of the Timberwolves, like a cutie remark in Season 5 and a royal problem in Season 7 as this comment mentions. And honestly, they make a fair point. There's a bunch of creatures in the Everfree, like the Manticore or the Cockatrice, that are equally, if not more terrifying than the Timberwolves in my opinion. But ponies like Fluttershy don't seem to be as scared of them as she is of the Timberwolves. Then again, I also don't think it's as simple as that. While the Timberwolves do seem to scare every pony, there's also creatures like the Hydra or the Ursas that seem to be even more scary. Because while we see the main six fighting Timberwolves during Spike at Your Service, they don't even dare to engage an Ursa or the Hydra. And no, I'm not counting the interaction between Twilight and the Ursa Minor in Ghostbusters because that was not an actual fight. And oh, it looks like there's another signal coming in from the Everfree.
Screw Timberwolves, Ursas, or even the Hydra. There's something else out here. Something powerful. Remember that weird vibe I called out before? That's much stronger and everywhere around me now. I found the castle and I'm about to go in, but I worry that it may not be enough. I feel it lurking in the shadows, barely escaping the corner of my eye sometimes. I'll keep you posted if I don't. Wait, what's that?
Alright, I think maybe the trees are blocking the signal or something, but it does support what the comments under this post said too. The creatures living there, along with a general consensus of it's magic they can't control, therefore it's scary, make up about 80% of the total comments. And speaking of magic they can't control, another comment that hooks into that really well comes from Quantum Q. Now, I won't go over all the details here, so pause if you want to read the whole thing. But they basically theorized that Discord might have had a much bigger influence on the Everfree Forest than just the seeds he planted to corrupt the Tree of Harmony as we see in the Season 4 opening. Even going as far as saying that he, before he got turned to stone 1,000 years ago, might have been the whole reason the Everfree is the way it is now. After all, plants like the Poison Joke are very, very Discord coded, which then also explains why the ponies would be so scared of it. A forest full of chaos magic combined with the original appearance of Nightmare Moon not too long after would be enough to make any pony afraid of the forest. And wow, yes, I love this theory. Discord being the reason that the Everfree Forest is so different from all the rest in Equestria makes so much sense. And where the comment mentions Poison Joke as being very Discord-like, I think the same could be said for the Timberwolves, honestly. Wolves made out of wood that, when defeated, can reassemble themselves in a much larger version of themselves, and also seems to be evil for no other reason than the love of the game. Yeah, that screams Discord to me, alright? Another comment by @HennyDove mentions that the forest might be intentionally scary, to spook ponies away from important things in the forest like the Tree of Harmony, which I also think is a really, really interesting approach, and that might actually explain what younger Lumin was experiencing just now. Though overall, sticking a little more close to what we know from the show, I think this comment from the Blue Bunny sums it up the best. Timberwolves. It's crawling with monsters, the weather moves all on its own, the animals are mean, spooky zebra lady because she's an evil enchantress who does evil dances, the Poison Joke with Sakura having the only known cure. Honestly, I wish they upplayed the dangers of the forest in later seasons. It was supposed to be this scary, dangerous place, but now anyone can just go for a walk and get to the castle. In that one episode where the Student 6 were making a tree memorial there were tourists in the Cave of Harmony. There's a lot of small factors that add up together, making the Everfree Forest feel very scary. But even though some parts of the forest might not be as bad, like the trip from Ponyville to Sakura's place, I do agree with this comment that, in later seasons, it feels like they seriously downplay how dangerous the forest actually is. And with that, we would have come to the end of the video, if I hadn't just found another comment that I think might have actually cracked the case altogether instead of just all these theories we've had so far. In response to my question why ponies think the Everfree Forest is so scary, @BurnedBread0990 comments, mob spawn because the trees block sunlight. Younger me, can you confirm that? Hello? Oh well, I guess the signal is still out, what can you do?